Have you ever wondered if comic books are good investments? Maybe they'll make it rain like a millionaire. Or maybe it'll actually leave you broker than your family does after Christmas. Well, as someone who's invested hundreds of thousands of dollars, spent over $150,000 on their comic book collection, and who's sold tens of thousands of dollars worth of comics, I'm going to tell you from my experience, I do not think comics are a great investment, and I'm going to give you my top 5 reasons why I think so in today's video. I'm also going to share with you as a bonus huge, awesome Grail comics throughout the video, so stick with me to the end. You're not going to want to miss this. Honorable mention, no revenue. Now, clearly, I'm no financial advisor. If I was, I wouldn't be making comic book related content on YouTube. So don't take my opinions as financial advice. In my experience, though, I have not thought that comic books are great investments because they don't produce revenue. Now, I promised you big Grail books. Let's start off with a banger. That would be Wonder Woman #1. Yeah, this is an amazing Golden Age book. This book is the very first Wonder Woman comic, and it's the first appearance of Ares. It is in a CGC 3.0 restored grade. So if you see the label up top, it's purple because that means it's restored or it's had work done to it to improve its quality. It was not only trimmed, which means, the edges were cut, but it also had work done to attach the cover to the book. But I do not care that this book is restored. Some people do, but I don't because this is such a hard book to find, and it made a lot more affordable so I can actually get my hands on it. So yeah. But back to investments, Merriam-Webster defines investments as the use of money for revenue or profit. And so half of it right there, revenue, aka passive income or money that's coming in without you having to do additional work. This book looks great on the wall. It's a great conversation starter. It's a great display piece, but it's not producing me any passive income or any revenue. So half of the investment, source right there, the revenue part, comic book's not doing anything for me. Unlike another investment, which would produce passive income, like a dividend-paying stock or a piece of rental real estate. Now, you might be thinking, well, why is that important that it doesn't produce revenue? Well, for 2 reasons. First one is you can actually use that revenue to pay expenses if you need to. And second, you can use that money to reinvest and thus compounding your returns over time. So that's one of the big reasons why I don't think comic books are a great investment in my experience. It's because they don't produce revenue. Now on to number 5. Time and effort. Now, we've all heard the saying that time is money, and that's true, because there's only so many hours in the day to bring home the cheddar. And that's one of the big reasons why I haven't experienced comic books being a great investment, is because the amount of time it goes into actually treating them as an investment. So that couldn't be any more true with this book specifically, and that is Brave and the Bold #28. Wow, this is a big book, another Grail piece. It's the first appearance of the Justice League of America. You might have seen Zack Snyder's Justice League movie. Let's not discuss how good that movie was here. We wish that their movies were as good as Marvel, but let's hope James Gunn's going to do better with the DC universe here pretty soon. But this is an amazing book and an amazing grade. It's a 6.0 off-white to white pages, graded by CGC. And yeah, I just absolutely love this book. Huge first appearance key. And as far as time and effort goes, this book took me a year and a half to acquire since I started looking. So a lot of times comic book investing, it's about a lot of work and a lot of time spent actually acquiring investment grade books. Now, what do I mean by investment grade? I mean books that are actually big key books or have attributes to them like first appearance of Justice League. That would be the key aspect of this book. And to get them in investment grade, in my opinion, that would mean slabbed. And for me specifically, that actually means in a above average grade for Silver Age. So that would be a 6.0 or better in my view. So those books don't come around every day. And so it took me, like I said, a year and a half of waiting. Now, you might think, well, that waiting, that's not a big deal because, yeah, when it came about, you did purchase it and now you have it and now it's going to go up over time. Well, that year and a half, what you don't understand is that I spent a lot of time and effort trying to track it down. So I'm looking at auction sites. I'm looking at new listings on eBay. I'm looking at going to cons and looking at wall books to try to find it. I'm also making sure that when I do see copies that they have off-white to white pages and that they're present in the condition that I want them to present. So all that work I could have been using or spending doing income generating activities, right? I could have been working or doing a side hustle and earning money rather than spending time not earning money. Does that make sense? And not only is it just time waiting for books to come around, it's actually just the physical work it takes to decide what kind of comics that you want to go after, what kind of conditions you want to go after, what's your budget for your books. And then also the time keeping up your collection and making sure that, like CGC recommends, reslabbing your books every 10 years to keep them safe and protected. It's also like the time I spent specifically, because I'm looking at high-end books or higher-end books, is the time it took me to find security measures. So obviously these books I don't keep here because that's too high of a risk for me. I just bring them in to batch shoot these videos. So it took a lot of time to research things like, where do I store these at a third party, secure location, like a safety deposit box, and choosing the safety deposit box that I want to have. Also the time it takes to find insurance, right? Because that's another big thing for investment grade books. This was a $6,600 book. That's something that I want insurance on just in case something does go wrong, right? So researching the insurance, actually paying for the insurance. Compare all of this work, not to mention the work when you go to sell the book and actually hopefully make money on it. When you go to sell the book, there's, hey, do you find a consignor? If so, what consignor do you use? How do you go about, if you don't use a consignor, how do you go about selling it? The time and money or the time and effort it takes to list the book, to actually promote it, to take payment, to package the book, to ship the book. All of that takes time and effort. And again, all that time and effort is money that you could be making doing something else that is income generating. So that's a big reason why I think that comic books aren't necessarily great investments, because compare that to like stocks or bonds, right? You can even automate investments for your 401k, your IRA, if you do that through work. That takes no time at all. Or if you want to buy stocks on your own through a brokerage account like Charles Schwab, or maybe you're a Robinhood person, you can go to the app and you can buy Boeing stock or whatever stock you want at the click of a button. Heck, for all of you cryptocurrency people out there, I know you're out there, you can transact in cryptocurrency in the click of a button. That effort takes, or that amount of time is nothing compared to the amount of time it takes to find, acquire, and upkeep your comic book collection. So that's something to consider. To me, as a negative for investing in comic books is just the amount of time and effort it actually takes to buy your collection. Now let's get on to number 4. Risk. Now I know what you're thinking. Momo, there's risks in any investment you make, and you'd be right. But the reason that I put this on this list is because I believe the risk with comic books is not only more magnified, but also there are lots of unique risks that you get with comic books versus other type of investments. Let's break that down. So when I mean magnitude of risk, when we look at the overall marketplace for comic books, it's a lot smaller than other investments. If you look at real estate, S&P 500, businesses, even other commodities like oil, lumber, all those investment categories are much larger markets. So when a disruption happens, you can think of it like throwing a rock into the ocean. When a disruption happens, it's not going to have as big of an impact as a smaller market, like throwing a rock into a little pothole. That's going to cause a lot more disruption. So because the comic book market, that's a much smaller market, when there are disruptions to the overall economy, it's going to affect comic books more acutely. And not only because it's smaller, but also because comic books have no inherent value as far as economic value, practical value. What I mean by that is other commodities like gold, silver, they can be used in electronics, jewelry, lumber's used to construct, oil's used for fuel, right? Even other alternative assets like cars, right? Those have practical value as fact that you can still use the vehicle, you can still drive it. That still provides economic value to you. Whereas comic books, they're great display pieces, but at the end of the day, they have no intrinsic practical economic value to them besides that they're, discretionary expense, they're entertainment. we love having them. I love having this Amazing Spider-Man #3. This is the first appearance of Doc Ock, or Dr. Octavius, arguably the greatest Spider-Man villain, him and the Green Goblin. This is in a CGC 6.0 off-white to white pages. This is a great, amazing book. Another big first appearance key. And yeah, there's just that kind of risk associated with the comic book market. And let's also be real about the risk of the market going away or dwindling. Comic book collectors, we are an aging bunch. I'm 35 years old, and I know my YouTube viewers, they are on average older than I am. So as far as a younger audience, that to me shows that the comic book industry has risks, kind of like stamp collecting, of possibly aging out. And that's something that, to me, makes comic books more of a unique risk than other assets like even gold or even cryptocurrency, because young people, they love the cryptocurrency. But we have to just be realistic. Do I think that that's going to happen? No, I don't. But can I say that for sure that I know it's not going to happen, that the comic book market is going to age out? I can't say that. There is a risk there. So that is a bigger risk. Also, because these comic books are discretionary expenses, meaning they're not, necessary for us. They're not like expenses like our rent or our mortgage or our car payment or our utility bills, right? When economic times get tough, which let's admit they get tough for all of us, what is the first thing you're going to let go of? You're going to let go of your comic books sooner than you're going to get rid of your refrigerator or your car or other things that you own. And because it's a smaller market, if these come to the market in large numbers, that is going to drastically, or have, like I said, like a stone in a pothole, is going to have a bigger downside pressure on those prices. And I think that's kind of been evident ever since we've come down from the 2021, comic book bubble, right? Prices went up dramatically in 2021, and then they came crashing back down to earth. And that's no more true than with this book. So I spent $6,000 on this book, and that was back in 2023. And if you compare that to other investments, like 2023, the housing market, it went up like 6%. S&P 500, even though it was a rough economy, everyone, thought 2023 wasn't the greatest economy, it went up like 16%. What did my Amazing Spider-Man 3 do in 2023? Well, most recent sale, $3,800. So yeah, what is that, 40% correction? I don't know math. You do math. Close to 50%, right? So that's not a good performance when you compare it to other investments. And again, that's just inherent risk with comic book collecting versus other avenues. As in bad economies, these discretionary expenses that don't have intrinsic economic value are going to have a risk of going down further than the general economy. The other risks that are unique to comic books, or are greater in magnitude risk to comic books, is actually damage, right? So unlike a stock or a bond or a piece of gold, it's not, those are non-active, or they're very hard. Those aren't going to deteriorate. So like a comic book, this book, if it's not cased properly, if it's in a bag and board, it can deteriorate over time. Smoke damage. Natural disasters happen, right? Fire damage, flood damage, earthquakes. When I was a kid, a tree fell down onto my neighbor's house. If that hit your comic books, right? Unlike a stock or a bond, that's not going to have that kind of damage, or even gold, right? That gold is very unreactive. So, or if you own certificates, right? So that don't have the same risk with those alternative investments as you do with comic books. The other risk that you have is theft. Now, if you're not like me, like I said, I keep my books in a safety deposit box at the bank, so I don't have that kind of risk for theft. But if you don't, that's a acute risk, right? That someone could steal your books and sell them. Or the other risk is you could get scammed when buying or selling books. It's very hard for someone to steal your property. Or a lot harder, right, to steal your property, or to steal your stocks or your bonds or your gold certificates. So that's a bigger risk with comic books as opposed to other investments as well, is theft. And not to mention the risk, which I succumb to also with this book, is the risk of overpaying. When you have markets that are so large and transact so many transactions, for example, like say Ford stock changes hands constantly all day, every day. So you have a very accurate representation of the current market value of a book, right? Because it trades so often, the market value is fairly accurate. Whereas books, comic books, especially big Silver Age keys, Golden Age keys even more so, and higher grade books, they're not going to transact as frequently. So how do you know what the prices are? Now, I would recommend subscribing if you are looking at buying comic books. I would recommend subscribing to like pricing resources like Go Collect or GPA Analysis. Those are the ones I use. But the reason for that is a bigger risk is if this doesn't transact, like let's say it transacts once a month or once every 3 months or once every 6 months, it's much harder to get a really accurate picture, even with those pricing resources, of what this book is actually worth. So, for example, when I bought the book in 2023, the most recent sale was $5,500, and that was like several months before I bought it. So I went up thinking, I went up to $6,000 for this book, thinking, yeah, prices have probably increased a bit since then. So maybe that's what the value of the book is. I was comfortable with it at the time, but clearly that was not the actual real value of the book. In hindsight, because it actually started decreasing with every subsequent sale after mine. So yeah, you have a lot higher risk of paying over market value with this book, and that's important because that all eats into your potential profits in the future, right? When you go to sell. If you overpay by, like I did, 10%, and let's say this book only goes up 5% a year, I have to wait 2 whole years just to, in theory, break even. So yeah, definitely, there's a lot of risks as far as comic book collecting is concerned. So that's one of my reasons why they have not been great investments in my experience. Now, let's go on to number 2. Or no, it's actually number 3. Number 3 is next. I wish I could count. Told you I'm not good at math. Liquidity. Now that's a fancy word for how easy it is to cash out or sell your asset. Obviously, the more liquid, the better. Meaning the easier it is to sell and the quicker it is to sell your asset, the better, because that money you can actually then put to use. The longer it takes to get your money back, not only can you not use that money, your money is also devaluing in the form of inflation. So in investment terms, not good because your money is losing value. And the reason liquidity has been such a problem in my experience with comic book collecting is really because of this issue right here. And this is Wonder Woman, Sensation Comics number 6. This is the first Golden Lasso of Truth. It is another Wonder Woman key book. So Lasso of Truth right there. And it's synonymous, with Wonder Woman, just like the utility belt is with Batman. This is a very rare book, less than 50 on the CGC census. This one happens to be graded in a 1.8, slightly brittle pages. And I've actually been trying to sell this book for months now because I bought a better copy. So yeah, this book has not been liquid for me. It's been very hard to sell. And that means my money is trapped. I can't use it to buy other comic books or other investments. And every day that goes by, the money that I have in this book is actually going down with the market and again with inflation. So this book actually, because I am wanting to move the book, I've tended to continue to drop the prices, and right now I've priced it below what I even paid for it. So not good. This book being so rare, less than 50 in existence, means when you have a small market, there are not as many buyers out there. So maybe there's only 1-2 people looking for this book, and I got to find them. When you have a very liquid or very plentiful asset, like stocks, for example, you can sell it at any time, right? You can just go on the New York Stock Exchange anytime they're open and sell that asset, and that's going to be a much better experience. Plus, again, like what I have with this book, having to decrease the price, the quicker it is to sell, the less likely it is you're going to have to drop the price. Think of it like homes, too. The longer a home sits on the market, more likely it is you have to lower the price. So, yeah, comic books tend to be less liquid, and one of the reasons for that also is because it's a physical asset, not a digital asset. Digital assets you can transact instantaneously, very easily, right? I can sell my stocks or transfer my bonds or sell my gold certificates much more easily than I can comic books. And even for physical assets, as opposed to other commodities even like gold, Like, it's a lot harder to move this for around market value because the only physical places I can go to sell comic books really are comic book dealers and comic book stores, local comic book stores. And I know they have to keep their doors open and they have to do business, which is a great thing. But when I'm selling to them, they have to make a profit. So their margins have to be high enough that they are willing to buy the book. And in my experience, when you're selling, especially in bulk collections, with just like trading cards, like 40, 50, 60% is not unrealistic to get as far as value for your asset. And so that is not, as far as returns go, an investment is not going to be a great experience or not a great return for you. Whereas like with gold, you can go to any pawn shop, you can go to any jeweler, and they're going to be willing to buy your gold, and it's just going to be slightly under the spot price, where you're going to get a lot more money, a lot bigger percentage of the value of your book because there's so many more people buying it, right? So comic books are uniquely challenged in the liquidity department, and that's one of the reasons why, in my experience, they haven't been the best investments. And now let's get on to the actual number 2. Yeah, we're finally there. Number 2 reason why I don't think they're the best investments. Expense. Comic books are incredibly expensive. Am I right? My wife reminds me every day. And case in point, I brought a really expensive book. That would be the back of it. Detective Comics number 140. This is the first appearance of the Riddler. Wow, another big first appearance key. This is a Golden Age goodie, and it is in a CGC 4.5. Everyone loves the Caped Crusader, Batman, right? And Riddler, one of the biggest Batman villains there is, one of the most well-known, and obviously Batman being one of the most popular superheroes of all time. And for being Golden Age, being Riddler on the cover, that's big. Not a lot of first appearance keys in the Golden Age have them on the front cover. So this book, to illustrate how expensive comic books can be, this is in a 4.5, which you would think, out of 10, that's not great. Well, because this is actually a pretty high grade for a Golden Age book, this book cost $10,000. So yeah, very hard for people to get started investing and to actually invest in comic books when they are so expensive, especially investment grade books, which are graded copies, high graded copies. Yeah, not only can they be ridiculously expensive, but also just even inexpensive or quote-unquote inexpensive comics can be expensive. And that would be like an example of Raphael number 1 that I have right here. So this is still a key book. It's a graded copy. It's a 9.4, so it's close to mint. This is the first appearance of Casey Jones, who, allied to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This book is a lot less rare. It's Copper Age, so a lot sooner. This book is 40 years old rather than, 80 years old. And there's thousands of copies as opposed to hundreds. So this book, much cheaper as far as investment quality books. And this book cost me $500. So $500 still not cheap, right, for investment purposes. Especially considering you can buy, silver at like $20-something an ounce and get started investing. You can buy Hanes stock. We all know Hanes Clothing Company, Michael Jordan mascot. You can buy them for like $6-7 a share right now. Sirius XM Radio, we all know them, massive, huge company. Same thing, like $6-7 a share right now. And you can buy fractional shares of bigger stocks, bigger companies. So you could spend, pennies, dollars, as opposed to hundreds or thousands of dollars. So it's much more difficult not only to get started, but to continually invest in investment-grade comic books, which to me, is a negative. The other expense, though, that you have to consider is not just the book itself, but the upkeep. So, for example, this book I accidentally dropped like a dummy and had to get it reholdered. And that's an expense. Also, CGC recommends that you reholder your books every 10 years. So to just make sure to ensure to protect the books, that's additional expense. Storage, I already talked about. I don't store my books here. I store them, at the bank in a security safety deposit box. That isn't free. Insurance on these books, that's not free either. The other cost is, which is a big one, is when you go to sell the book. Tons of fees, right? You have to pay a consignment fee if you're consigning. If you sell it on eBay, you're paying a huge fee to eBay to sell the book. You're shipping it yourself. You're paying for the shipping most likely. You're also spending money when you buy the book, like on taxes, right? So a lot of investments, when you purchase it, you don't pay tax as opposed to comic books. And when you go to sell it, you're not paying, fees to sell the investment. So those added expenses like storage, insurance, all those fees make comic books a lot more expensive. And you might think, well, that's not that big of a deal. None of those things are that expensive, right? Like shipping is, if I mail it, priority, or sales tax was only 10% when I bought it, and the seller fee, if I consign on Instagram, it's only 5%. All those things add up. So if this book only goes up like 5 to 7% a year, like most investments do, 5% fee plus shipping plus you paid an additional 10% on top in the front end as far as sales tax or other fees, that's eating up years of your returns. That's not good, right? So that's a big high risk. The other thing with expenses is even if you don't grade them, maybe bags and boards, storage boxes, displays, right? You're paying for all that stuff. Yeah, comic books can be very, very expensive as far as investments go, and stocks, bonds, none of those have the same expenses. All those can be better investments as far as returns go because of it. So for that reason, expenses are one of my big reasons why I don't think comic books have been a great investment. Now, before we get to number one, make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you're eligible for giveaways. Also, so that you are notified whenever this beautiful face puts out new videos. But seriously, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Also, leave in the comments below if you have invested in comic books, what your take is. Do you think they're great investments? Also, let me know, what was your favorite huge book that you saw as far as the comics I've been showing? Was it possibly first appearance of Lady and the Tramp? Let me know down in the comments below. Number one, I'm going to hold on to these things forever. Literally, guys and gals, I'm never wanting to sell these books. I mean, these books I want to pass on to my kids. I want them to pass it on to their kids and their kids and their kids and their kids and their kids, literally for the rest of eternity. I love them too much. I am emotionally attached. With investments, like comic books, where you don't make money until you go to sell, if you don't have the will to sell, those aren't ever really good investments because you never even made any money or capitalized on them because you never sold them. And that's definitely going to be me. And that's a case in point with this book right here. This is Tales to Astonish number 13. This is a big book. This is the first appearance of Groot. For all you Guardians of the Galaxy lovers out there like me, this is a massive key, especially because it's in a CGC 6.5 off-white to white, which for this book, which has less than 500 copies on the CGC census, makes it a very, very high grade and very, very expensive. This book, since it is a Silver Age book, it came out in 1960, it is an early Silver Age book. So not only does it mean that 500 copies is actually a very low census count, because other Silver Age books, even like Amazing Fantasy 15, the first appearance of Spider-Man, that has thousands of copies. 500, yeah, very rare. James Gunn made Guardians of the Galaxy a thing, but before that, Groot was a very, very well-known or not well-known character, but he is now. And I actually bought this book for $6,000, and the last recorded sale as of filming in a 6.5 is like $8,750, I think. So I basically, in theory, could sell the book for thousands of dollars higher than I spent. And guess what? I haven't done it. I have no intention of doing it. Not only do I love this book, I love the Guardians of the Galaxy. It completes my set. Again, I just, emotional attachment, want to give it up to my kids. I'm never going to sell these books. I know that that's crazy, and I know maybe if I was holding on to a Superman 1 or an Action Comics 1 for my whole life, I would sell at the end of it, but not for any of this foreseeable future. And for that reason, just because I am going to hold on, diamond hands, I'm going to diamond hand these books forever. That's the biggest reason why comic books have not been a great investment in my experience. Now, I know this has been a hot take for a lot of you. I know the tension is there. But I am not saying that comic books are a bad investment for you or that you shouldn't buy comic books. Obviously, I love comic books. I highly encourage people to buy comic books. Whether you do see them as an investment for yourself or you want to read them, collect them, all things comics, I'm all about it. I wouldn't be doing all this if I wasn't. So don't think that I'm out there telling you not to buy comic books, because that's definitely not the case. I love it so much, and I just view it as a hobby more than an investment, and a collection more than an investment. If it happens to go up over time, that's fantastic. But like I said, I'm willing to these to my kids when I'm gone. So now that you know my top 5 reasons why I don't think comic books have been a good investment in my experience, you're going to want to watch this video next.